In a small village surrounded by mountains lived a teenage boy named Arjun. Unlike others his age, Arjun loved doing nothing. While his friends played, studied, or helped their families, Arjun spent most of his day lying under a tree, watching the clouds. His father, a hard-working carpenter, often warned, "Son, life won't wait for you to get up. One day you'll need to stand on your own feet." But Arjun would just yawn and say, "What's the hurry? I have time." One day, a messenger from the capital arrived in the village. He carried an announcement from the king. "The mountain pass to the city has collapsed. Whoever clears a path through the rocky debris within 10 days will receive a gold coin for every step of progress. The kingdom needs help." The whole village buzzed with excitement. Young men prepared tools, elderly offered advice. But Arjun? He slept through the announcement. That night, his father, tired and old, sat beside him and said softly, "I'm going to try tomorrow, not for the gold, but to prove that even the weak can stand up when needed." The next morning, Arjun saw his father limping toward the mountain with a pickaxe. And suddenly something clicked. Maybe for the first time, Arjun felt ashamed of his comfort. The next day, Arjun followed his father up the mountain. The sun was harsh and the rocks were unforgiving. Within hours, his father collapsed from exhaustion. Villagers carried him back. The doctor said he can't work for at least a month. That night, Arjun sat silently beside his father's bed. His thoughts raced. He did this not for himself, but to help others. And I've never done anything for anyone, not even for myself. The next morning, without telling anyone, Arjun packed some bread, picked up his father's rusted pickaxe, and walked toward the blocked path. He stared at the massive wall of rocks. "I'll never clear all this," he whispered. And that's when the old part of him spoke. "So why try? Go home." But he shook his head. Not this time. He took a deep breath and started with the smallest rock. Days passed. The other villagers gave up. The rocks were too big, the sun too cruel. But Arjun kept going, alone. He realized something. He didn't have the strength to break big rocks, but he could move the smaller ones, dig through the cracks, and roll the rest downhill using gravity. He built small pulleys with ropes and branches, moved stone by stone using techniques he invented on the spot. People laughed at first. Lazy Arjun thinks he can beat the mountain? But every day he returned, tired, dirty, but a little stronger. By the eighth day, there was a narrow path visible, just enough for a person to pass. A soldier from the capital rode in, stunned. "Who made this?" Villagers pointed at Arjun, who stood holding the pickaxe, his hands bleeding but his eyes burning with focus. The soldier went back and reported to the king. On the 10th day, a royal chariot arrived at the village. To everyone's shock, the king himself stepped out and walked up to Arjun. "I heard that a boy who once slept under trees carved a path through a mountain," the king said with a smile. Arjun lowered his head, embarrassed. "I wasn't strong, your majesty, I just didn't stop." The king nodded and says, "That's what real strength is, not in your arms, but in your will." He handed Arjun a heavy pouch of gold coins. But more importantly, he said, "From this day forward, I want you to train with my royal engineers. We need minds that don't quit, even when muscles do." Years later, Arjun became a royal architect. He built roads where others feared landslides, carved tunnels through rocky terrain, and helped build the strongest bridges in the kingdom. Whenever asked what changed him, he smiled and said, "I was lazy until I had a reason bigger than rest. That reason was my father." Everyone has a mountain to face. Sometimes it's laziness, sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's doubt. But you don't need to be the strongest, you just need to start. And when the reason is big enough, be it family, pride, or proving yourself, you'll surprise the world and even yourself.